key words with Peter and Jane 8B. The big house. Don't ask me or Peter how, but Pat the dog just knew by the smell that one of those letters was a reminder to bring him in to that sadist to have his toenails clipped shorter than he liked, a shot in the hip and his anal glands expressed. Jane dutifully read aloud once again the instructions for toast to Mum, but Jane had school to attend. Leaving Mother to converse with the eggs she was preparing in dozens of ways to earn the pleats of her chef's hat, quaffing unpasteurized honey from a mason jar. Dad's reading a letter from Alejandro, an East Suriname war orphan he's sponsoring, who wouldn't be fusing about clearing the damn breakfast dishes were he here. And care to cool it on the cornflakes, Jane Elizabeth? They do not grow on trees, he said, Paso Agro slurping his coffee. Jane was fanning Mum's ripe dogs after a hard day kicking at the glass ceiling. Dad was replying to his South American sponsors while Peter drew what he thought to be a likeness of Alejandro. I mean, if he loves him so daggone much, why doesn't he go down there and marry him already? Pete closed a 3 to an 8 in the address and scrawled a crude phallus across the stamp before posting Dad's letter. Jane was either solemnly swearing she hadn't nicked the pack of fags off the dresser or about to bosom slap Mother for buying the mauve Labubu when she clearly said fuchsia. Jane thought Mum looked a right pillock in her armadillo hide sun helmet and tried Morse coding sewing a series of sharp pinches to the armpit flesh. If she'd noticed Dad clumsily flirting with a coquettish Dominican nanny in tortured Spanish, she hadn't let on, but he humbly mumbled a high-pitched, panicky greeting and purposefully positioned the gardening goods over his tented chinos. Why's this tree lost all its bark and dying while all the— "Silence!" bellowed Mother, in a deeply accented voice she'd heard neither before nor since. "Speak not of this tree, Jane of this realm. Look ye not at its donkey, guardian?" The matter was thusly concluded. Mother was still panting iridescent condensation against the inside of the windscreen, fingering symbols into it as Dad leapt out of the car to don his blazer. The siblings wondered why their parents had rushed ahead and what private meant. They wished they were wondering still as Dad cracked the door, revealing some old Fudd aggressively jiggling his keys and making in-pocket / finger boner gestures at their mother. "Only Mick Lee tell joke to two madre jung man," he said, patting Mum's hind end. Jane was halfway scrambled up the picking ladder before Dad diffused the situation, saying, "Come on down, honey. Southern Europeans just have a different sense of humor is all. Him?" See, whispered the old man, adjusting himself, wiping his wet lips on the collar of his corduroy jacket. "Fernando, hey Usta, he just mecca Peter? Yan, lead el dioque, look dese coniglias, how you say? Hospida, make a cupola key chains from it a one looking at us funny?" "Oh my God," wailed Jane. But by the following page, Jane looked to the old man for permission to launch Peter into the koi pond to sleep with a deficius. He nodded and winked, slinking an arm around Mother's hip, loudly chuckling over it. Dad, off to the side, thrust his hands into his pockets so hard stitches popped, knowing, or cornuto, whatever the hell his I had, people called it. He thought, smiling on Lee A. the outside. Stugats, whispered Dad, sneaking over to Fernando's aviary to let them all out. But lo and behold, the old fucker already had the children captivated, convincing Peter that of course pigeons have testicolos, and if you tickle them just so, their wings flap. The boy flapped his arms at the sight and stared down at his own. By morning, it was clear how the night had gone, as Mother couldn't take her eyes off the silver fox. They positively reeked of one another, and their father sat chastened behind them, the back of his neck shaved, and a large "for" carefully written on it in Mother's lipstick. You could say the ride home was intense. You could say the tension could be cut with a knife. You could say a lot of things. But point of fact, no one was saying anything. Mother was curled up in the passenger seat, sleeping like a newborn kitten, while Dad drove on in purse. Aya X lipped silence, gripping, "We are cha ag out in the yard for miniature golf. Draw fast, Otnia Hande." Peter mimicked the old Italian's fora voice and thrust his hips like Elvis. Jane went for the fences upside 28 Peter's ribs and told him to leave it. Thereafter, Dad spent They'd raise their cat Shenanigan to pick apples for them to earn her keep, and by dawn's early light,
Il est temps de dormir. Pose ta tête et rêve heureux. Papillons et nuages, il est temps de fermer les yeux. Grillons et oiseaux, tout est calme sous les cieux. Les koalas, yeux tombants, écoute les feuilles chanter doucement. La lune veille sur la nature et chante